Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Go video. In this video, I'm going to be going over the top 25 best Pokemon that you should be powering up in 2019. Now, this is going to be subject to change in the future, so I'll most likely make an update video in a couple of months when stuff does shift around a bit more. But a question that I actually got asked on Twitter from a user named Rose actually asked me if I could go over the top 10 best Pokemon that I should be powering up. And I was like, you know what? I'll just go one further. So I'm like, top 20. And then I'm like, you know what? We could do a little bit more. Top 25. So that's how I got to this point. There are a lot of Pokemon that I think you should be investing your Stardust into, you should be investing your Rare Candy into, and so we're going to go over my personal take on what I think are the top 25 best Pokemon that you should be powering up as of right now. Now, before we go ahead and get started, as always, if you guys do enjoy this video, feel free to hit that like button down below. As always, I'd really appreciate it. And if you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing for more Pokemon Go content like this. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Now, right away, I want to start off by saying that these Pokemon are going to be in no particular order. Each of these Pokemon is going to be amazing in their own respective way. For example, you have Rosa Raid on this list, which is the #1 Grass-type attacker right now, and then you also have Venusaur with Frenzy Plant, as well as Exeggutor and Alolan Exeggutor, which are not the best Grass-type attackers, but they are still incredibly viable options to build in your Grass-type attacker lineup. So you're going to have a couple of those options on this list, but trust me, just because it's not the #1 spot, it doesn't mean that you should not power it up, Not everyone is going to have 6 maxed out 100% IV Rosa Raid, so, have a couple of good options in there, have an Alolan Exeggutor, have a Venusaur with Frenzy Plant, have a couple of Rosa Raids or something like that. Mixing up your lineup is definitely not a bad idea, having a couple of the top best Grass-type attackers, or the top best any-type attackers, is still going to be much better than having a level 20 legendary, so take that for what you will, guys. Anyways, though, let's go ahead and start off with this list right now, with our first Pokemon being Rosa Raid. So Rosa Raid is the #1 Grass-type attacker as of right now. It recently got Grass Knot as a move in the recent rework, so Rosa Raid is the best. So if you guys have a lot of Sinnoh Stones, first of all, I would recommend waiting until Mamoswine Community Day is over, and then evolving your Rosa Raid, just so you have enough for Mamoswine. But definitely, if you have good IV Roselia and they're really high level, evolve them for Rosa Raid. It is such a good Pokemon to have right now. Rosa Raid is the best option as a Grass-type attacker. Now, the next one that recently did get buffed as well, given it got Sky Attack, is going to be Haunch Crow. I believe it's the #1 Flying-type attacker right now. It doesn't have as much bulk as Sky Attack Mulches, but it is a really, really good Flying-type attacker. I do believe it is the best. I could be wrong on that, but it's a really, really good one now to have. Now, our third Pokemon is going to be Metagross. Metagross is the #1 Steel-type attacker, and it's going to stay that way for a long time, I think actually forever. So if you have Metagross with Meteor Mash, you're good to go. Make sure you power those guys up. It is incredibly useful. I can't tell you how much I've actually used that Pokemon in raid battles and in gym battles and stuff. It is incredibly useful to have, guys. Following that is going to be Tyranitar. Now, Tyranitar is the #1 Dark-type attacker and the #1 Rock-type attacker, although that could have changed, given we did get a couple new Pokemon added into the list. I believe it is Rampardos is the new one that we recently got. That one could be the new #1 Rock-type attacker, I do not know, but having Tyranitar with Smackdown, which is a legacy move, definitely worth powering that guy up. It is a really, really good Rock-type attacker. Tyranitar is also the #1 Dark-type attacker with Bite and Crunch, so honestly, Tyranitar is a really, really good option if you do not already have some already. I have like 1,000,000 of them right now, just from the last Community Day, All-Star Community Day weekend. So I'm definitely good on Tyranitar, but if you're not good on Tyranitar, get a couple of those in your lineup. Now, following that, we have Kyogre. Kyogre is the #1 Water-type attacker in the game. It is a legendary Pokemon that we recently had in raids, so I'm sure some of you guys do have a couple of good ones. Power that guy up. I cannot tell you right now, it is so good, guys. Kyogre is such a good Water-type attacker. It's a little bit slower because it does have Waterfall, but it does so much damage, guys. It does so much damage. And the CP goes super high, so you can have a really impressive lineup to show off to your friends. Alright, now following that, we have Dragonite, Rayquaza, and Palkia. All amazing Dragon-type attackers. I recommend investing in any of these, to be honest. We have not had Rayquaza in a long time. It's probably going to come back soon in raids, I would assume after Palkia. But honestly, guys, any of these options are really, really good Dragon-type attackers. Latios is good, Latios is okay, but definitely your top 3, I would say, is Dragonite, Rayquaza, and Palkia. Maybe Salamence, I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't think it is because it does only have Draco Meteor opposed to Outrage, and it can only get off 1 Draco Meteor before fainting out. If it actually got off 2, that'd be a different story. I would definitely recommend Salamence, but as of right now, Dragonite, Rayquaza, and Palkia are going to be your best options for Dragon-type attackers. Now the next one, I'm sure a lot of you guys already have these, is going to be Mewtwo. And if you guys don't have a Mewtwo, try and find someone who does, you know, at least get a Mewtwo with like Shadow Ball. I mean, there's so many options for Mewtwo. You got the number 1 Psychic type attacker, number 1 Ghost type attacker. Gengar is really good, but Mewtwo has more bulk, so Mewtwo, think it's a giveaway already. You know, get your hands on a couple of Mewtwo, power those guys up. It is going to be a worthy investment. Following that, we have Rhyperior and Groudon, which are actually going to be really useful when we get Dialga around the corner. Dialga is going to be weak to ground-type attacks, and therefore Rhyperior and Groudon are going to destroy it. Definitely recommend powering up some of those guys right now. And as always, guys, all these Pokemon that I am kind of recommending that you do power them up to level 30 first. You know, get a couple of them. Don't power up like 1 to level 40 and then not have anything else for the rest of them. Power them up slowly. You know, get a couple of them up to level 30, and then power them up to level 35 after that. Don't just go like 2 35s and then like 1 level 30. Go like 4 level 30s, because you're gonna have a way better lineup doing it that way. So that is what I recommend as well, on top of, you know, all these Pokemon that you probably should be powering up. And now the next one that we have on our list here is going to be Moltres with Sky Attack and Moltres with Overheat. Now you can actually use the charge attack. I think it's 100 candy for the second move to get Overheat and Sky Attack if you had previously already had Sky Attack on Moltres, to get them both on one. But if you don't, it's not that big of a deal. Honestly, recommended though, get one with Sky Attack, get one with Overheat. Really, really good fire type attacker, really good flying type attacker. I can't tell you how many times I've actually used Moltres in Machamp solos. It really, really does benefit you a lot, especially considering that we have a lot of sunny weather out here. So especially during the summer, you're going to be able to maximize the use of Moltres with Sky Attack, and as well as Moltres with Overheat. Number 1 fire type attacker in the game, so really, really worth powering up. And now the next two on our list are going to be Machamp and Breloom. Machamp is the number 1 fighting type attacker in the game, especially after the rework. Machamp is still holding down as the number 1 fighting type attacker. Breloom is really, really good. It's not as tanky, so it's going to go down faster, but it should do a little bit more DPS. So if you got a Breloom with counter and dynamic punch, you know, maybe power it up, but if you really, really want to get some good fighting types, go with the Machamps over the Breloom. At least that is my own recommendation. I have never regretted once powering up my Machamps. I've used them so many times for so many different things. Machamp is definitely a Pokemon that you should invest your Stardust into. And now following that, we have Alolan Executor as well as regular Executor and Venusaur with Frenzy Plant. Now I did already go over that Rosa Raid is the number 1 grass type attacker, but these are solid options, guys, for grass type attackers as well. Breloom with Grass Knot as well, I guess you could include onto this list, but that is going to be Legacy, and I'm probably sure a lot of you guys ended up getting those. You know, you can add that on here as well, but definitely make sure you power up some of these guys if you do not have the Rosa Raid. These are amazing grass type attackers. I never regretted powering up my Venusaur with Frenzy Plant once. I use them a lot. I really do use them a lot. So definitely recommend investing into those as well as the Rosa Raid. Following that though, we have Gardevoir, and this is only if you have extra. I actually do not recommend evolving Gardevoir unless you have a couple of good ones, because we are probably going to get the Ralts Community Day sometime in the near future. I would say maybe April. Maybe April. But if we do get that, it's most likely going to get a Fairy Fast move, and Golade as well is also going to get a fighting move. I would say Dynamic Punch would make it a really, really good fighting type. So if we do get those in the future, I'd recommend holding off from evolving some Ralts right now. I did actually recently evolve a Gardevoir, just because I don't actually have one, or at least I didn't have one, and now I have at least one, so I'm good with that. It's also really useful against Palkia right now as well. For example, if Palkia has Draco Meteor, you're going to want to have your fairy types like Gardevoir in there. Confusion and Dazzling Gleam is the best moveset for it, so if you do have Gardevoir, make sure you have that moveset. And, you know, if you do have some, I would recommend powering them up if you do have them already, but I would not recommend evolving them, you know, so if you have Ralts, don't necessarily evolve them, but if you already have the Gardevoir, it's definitely something that can be used in the current raid rotation. Moving on, though, we have Giratina. Now, Giratina is good, mainly for PvP. Ultra League, it just dominates. It dominates in the Ultra League. And so specifically for PvP, I would recommend powering up Giratina. You're gonna have a good time with it, trust me. It destroys pretty much everything. There are a couple of counters that will take it down, but most people are not prepared for Giratina. So if you want to kind of impress your friends a little bit with your lineup, power up a Giratina. Now following that, we have Raikou, which is the #1 electric type attacker in the game. We also have Electro Fire, which is a really, really good follow-up as the #2, I think, electric type attacker in the game. So either of those options, excellent choices to power up for your electric types. We don't have too many good ones, so those are kind of your best options. I would say Zapdos, but Zapdos has been outclassed at this point. It's good if you want to power up one, but I would not recommend it moving forward. Focus on these two specifically. Now the next one we have on our list is going to be a Pokemon that has not been released yet. It's going to be Mamoswine. Mamoswine is going to be the future best ice type attacker and maybe even a really good ground type attacker. We do not know as of yet because the exclusive move has not been released. And the reason why I highly recommend investing into Mamoswine is because when Rayquaza comes back, it is going to destroy it. Like, I mean, seriously, if you have a good solid team of like level 30 Mamoswine and, you know, your friend has the same lineup, you guys could probably duo Rayquaza. No questions asked. It's going to be that good. Alright, now the next one we have is a new Gen 4 evolution. We have Weavile. Now Weavile is, again, another really good ice-type attacker. Probably going to be outclassed with Mamoswine, most definitely. But it's also a really good dark-type attacker. So you could kind of go either way on this one. It's a glass cannon. It's not going to last as long, but it's going to do a lot of damage, guys. So definitely, if you kind of want it in your first spot, recommend powering up Weavile. Following that, we have Yone Mega and Scizor. Great bug-type attackers. Honestly, Scissor's been in the game for a while. I've always enjoyed using it. Yone Mega was recently added into the game. Really good moveset for it, so definitely recommend getting your hands on a couple of these guys if you do want to invest in your bug team, which doesn't have a whole lot of use in the meta right now, but I think in certain scenarios, for example, against like psychic types, you know, Deoxys even would be a really good option to put it against. You could use it. You could use it for sure. Following now, we have Gengar. Another glass cannon, but Gengar is super good, especially if you have Lick or Shadow Claw as the fast move, both of which are legacy. But Gengar, worth investing into. I've never regretted once investing into a couple of my Gengar. They destroy. They don't last as long, but they destroy the boss, like, during the time that they are in the raid battles. So definitely recommend powering up a couple of those. Following now, we have Togekiss. Togekiss is good all around, I would say. PvP, raid battles, specifically against Palkia now with the fairy moveset. Really, really useful. It's a great gym defender. Togekiss, you really can't go wrong powering up. I would totally power mine up. I just don't have the candy, and I don't have the Togekiss either, but I almost have the candy to evolve my 93% IV with 15 defense. Might wait for a better one, but it's a lucky. So I might even evolve one in the near future. I wish it had a fairy fast move. I mean, I guess you could technically get the fairy fast move on hidden power, but you know, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. Regardless, I definitely recommend powering up some Togekiss if you do have a couple. It is a really good option all around, you know, whether or not you're using it for raid battles, for gym defending, PvP, you really can't go wrong having Togekiss. And actually, that was our last one. I thought we had one more here, but I guess that was our last one on this list. So any of these Pokemon, guys, highly recommend investing your Stardust into. You really won't go too wrong with it, even in the future when, you know, stuff might become a little bit outclassed. These are still going to be viable options to use in raid battles and to get your damage bonus. Again, though, this is my own recommendation. If you feel that I left anything out of this list that you would honestly power up, let me know in the comment section down below. And I will most likely make an updated video in a couple of months going over everything again, the top 25 or the top 20 Pokemon that I think that you should power up at the given time. The meta is always changing in Pokemon Go, so this is not going to last forever. As of right now, though, in February 2019, these are going to be your best Pokemon that you should be investing your Stardust and your candy into. And with that being said, that's basically going to do it for this one. So if you guys did enjoy this video and found it helpful, feel free to hit that like button down below. As always, I'd really appreciate it. And if you'd like to see more Pokemon Go content, make sure to hit that subscribe button for future videos. And I will see you all real soon in the next one.